The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And here we are, episode 117.
117.
What is our topic?
This is the 5 love languages.
Cool.
Yeah, this was a fun one to put together.
I like love.
Yes, me too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Before we hop into it, anything you want to share from last week?
I have a few things. So something exciting. I get these emails every so often that tell us where we are on the podcast charts. And I've never noticed Ireland come up before, but it came up this week, and we are number 53 on the spirituality charts in Ireland. So thank you to our Irish listeners.
Very
We're
much so.
very thankful for
Thank you, Ireland.
I don't know how many spirituality podcasts they have, but it shows that whatever we were before, that we, in the last week, have gained 16 spaces. So
Nice.
yes. So
I hope to visit you someday because
Yes.
my 23andMe, I'm predominantly Irish.
Yes,
So
we will get there.
Yes.
Absolutely, we will. So, and then I also wanted to remind everybody that we are nominated for a People's Choice Podcast Award, and that we need our listeners to go in and further nominate us. This happens until July 31st, and then after that they open the voting. So right now they're just like narrowing down how many there are of all the nominees.
got it.
So if you go to podcastawards.com and you look for the religion and spirituality section, we are there. We are also in the top category. It's the Adam Curry Podcast Awards. That one we're in as well.
Cool.
So have a look for those two.
Nice. Please.
Please, we appreciate
you.
it. Yes, that would be so cool. To even just be nominated is cool, but, I don't expect to win, but to have our name even on, like, the ballot, of the top 5 or
killer.
whatever it is would be
That's
so
awesome.
cool. So, yeah, so we appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, totally honored.
Yeah. And then, like we do every week, we have 2 questions to answer.
All right.
The first one is from Melissa. She said, "My dad hasn't visited my dreams in a few years. My mom only did once, and that was right after she passed. Do souls move on to different things? I know they can reincarnate, but I was also wondering if they moved on to something else." So I hear this a lot, that loved ones don't come in the dreams to visit. I don't even get visits in the dreams that often.
Right.
And if I do, I don't remember them. Like every once in a while, I'll have a very vivid one of one of my family members. But it is so rare. I tell you every time. And so I don't tell you very often, do I? The reason is that's like their least favorite form of communication. They like to do the numbers and the songs and the butterflies and the personalized things like you just hear their name being randomly called or it comes up somewhere. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. So just because your loved ones aren't coming to you in dreams does not mean that they're not around you and they're not coming to you. They do reincarnate. We all reincarnate. And I think in the next question we get into that more. So I'm not going to get into that further right now. But we do other things on the other side too. But our soul actually splits. So we
Right.
can be in multiple places at once. So your mom or dad or whoever can be with you, but also be doing other things. Now, their energy may not be as strong
Right.
as if more of their soul was together and with you. But they are always there.
Right.
Always.
Yeah, I think, and I totally agree with that. My belief about dreams more so now is that not so much like we're laying there in this sleep state waiting for someone to come visit us. We go there.
Yeah.
And we talk with whomever that's available, right? But
Right.
like you said, we can split ourselves.
Yeah.
So like in a religious sense, to kind of put it, you hear like Christianity talk about what do they call that?
The Trinity.
Okay, the Trinity. So in some aspect, I feel like it's part of that. Like you're part of God, you're part of that energy. But then you're part of your soul's down here in a mortal
Right.
body experiencing this.
Right.
And then you have that part of you that's on the other side that's also there helping guide you subconsciously
Right.
through this mortal life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I wrap my head around that. But I really feel like you go, and I don't really remember a lot of my dreams.
Yeah.
So, but the ones that I do remember with those types of things, like real meetings that feel so real, well, they might very well be not in a 4D world,
Right.
but
Yeah.
on the other side, which is a different thing. It's a different dimension. It's not physical.
Right.
So
Exactly.
we have to kind of stop thinking in that terms. But I definitely think that souls don't leave you. They don't go anywhere.
No, they definitely don't go anywhere. They are always with
So
you.
don't be detoured or disappointed if you feel like you're not getting visited.
Right.
In a dream, because you are getting visited.
Yeah.
But you might need to look more when you're awake.
Yes, exactly. I to play on a little bit more of what you had said about that we might go over there at night. I have been having a strange kind of phenomenon that's been happening to me lately where my dream, it feels like a dream, but at the same time I feel like I'm in like a classroom and I'm getting a rundown of what my week is going to be like and what to expect. And sometimes I remember things and sometimes I don't. But what's weird is that it's usually in retrospect that I remember and go, oh, wow, I was told that. I was told that. So I think that we do absolutely go somewhere else when we sleep. I think our body is like plugged in. It's like plugging your phone in. We're recharging it by sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So your body stays here and your mind goes somewhere else so that you can be recharged. And so when we have those visits in our dreams, it may be because we're not going over there, but they don't need to visit us in our dreams, because in our dreams I feel like we're with them.
Yeah.
You know?
We go to that
Yeah.
dimension, essentially.
Yeah. My mom hasn't visited me in a dream in forever. Like, normally if I get those, like, once it was my dad and then my grandparents, but it doesn't happen often because I feel like I'm with them, you know? So I hope that answered your question, Melissa. That was a great question.
And really quick, if I can,
Yeah.
just one more thing about that, about Melissa's question, is that when you go to sleep before you lay down, I did this for quite some time. I would ask, in my mind, take me to the Library of Wisdom. Mm-hmm. And then there's a temple of knowledge, a Library of Wisdom. There is the
infirmary, like a healing place.
But there's also the cloth of life.
Yeah,
and
we're getting deep now.
But take
Confusing.
me to these places, these
Right.
points in time, or
Right.
these places where I can learn something, and let me counsel or talk to whomever I need to on the other side that's either available, willing,
Right.
and can help me.
Yeah.
That I could get something out of this. Do I remember any of that? No, but I imagine in my mind what these places would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more in a mortal sense, but there are these places, I do believe, that we go, because even there we're learning. It's school there, but it's not painful because you're totally willing.
This is Dolores Cannon, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like you're totally willing. You're 100% willing, so it's not hard at all.
Yeah.
You're learning, and you're wanting to learn.
Yeah.
When you step into a body is when it gets a little bit harder sometimes, because the resistance, and you don't want to, or
Right.
it's another lesson, yada, yada, yada. But so I imagined and asked to go to these places, but there was one particular morning where I woke up and said, oh my God, I woke up and all I heard was, you can wake up now.
Yeah.
And I woke up as if we were having a conversation, and I was being counseled, and I was just told kind of like, oh, sorry, you gotta, I probably had to go to the bathroom or something.
Yeah,
but they were like, you can wake up now. And it sounded so audible.
Yeah.
Like in my ear, I could hear it, but it was all in my
You could
subconscious.
feel it, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like you could feel it in your
I was like,
subconscious.
oh my God,
It's
it was
so
like
weird.
there.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
But I don't remember anything visual about that. And sometimes I can just have that feeling when I
Yeah.
wake up without hearing any kind of thing or in my head or in my ears or what feeling. Just that feeling of I went somewhere and it felt good.
Uh-huh.
I
Yep.
feel calm now.
I've had a couple of times where I've heard go to sleep already. Like they want to take me, you know, they're like, go to
Right.
sleep so we can get this started or whatever.
Yes.
So that was early on that I started hearing those things. And I felt like everybody was excited for me to fall asleep so that I could like go hang out with them, you
And
know?
it's to me such kind of evidence to the fact that when we leave this body, our conscious doesn't need this body to travel.
Right. Absolutely.
And that part was like, wow.
It doesn't. This body, that's just what we need to live this life. That's all.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Great
cool.
question,
Thank you,
Melissa.
Melissa.
Thank you.
We appreciate that question. And then Kathy played off of that question a little bit. She said, in addition to the above question, do some souls stay with us until it's our time? They do speak that sometimes animals reincarnate, but what about humans? So what I have kind of come to believe from everything that I've learned is that the souls that are like a big part of our lives, like my mom, my dad, my grandparents, you know, those people, I believe that they stay there and they wait for us. Now, like my great grandparents, I don't feel them. I feel like they have already reincarnated. And so I feel like that's kind of how the cycle goes. Right. That you want to be with those souls and, you know, you come back with those souls. But sometimes, like, let's say, like your great-great-grandfather or whatever is a different soul and you've never worked with that one before, then they might wait for you so that they can work with you. Because that's really all that it is it's us working with different souls in these lives so that we can, you know, have lessons and different things. So I feel like it's a little bit different for every soul, but for the most part, like if your mother and father or whoever's already passed, they're probably most likely still there and will wait for you to get there.
Yeah, because you figure, like, say, great-grandparent, so like your mother would have a connection to them because that's her grandparent.
Exactly.
So even if they reincarnated before you arrived and your mother waited, we have to get the concept of time out of our mind.
That's true, too.
In order to really understand this, because it's all divine timing. So don't think of it in terms of, yeah, but that person jumps into a body, you know, how much time do I have there to rest and do this or whatever before I go?
Right.
You can't think of it like that. But like, so let's say the great-grandparents reincarnate and then you arrive, and at some point then you guys go back, your mother and you come back down. She's already connected to her grandparents, so you'll meet them again.
Yes, it's very true.
In turn, you'll come across their path, somehow. But because you didn't have a solid relationship with them, it may not be that solid, but it could be even stronger, a closer relationship. I don't know. I hate to say. My motto's never say never, because we don't really know any of this. It's just feeling.
Exactly.
But I do agree with you that, there's certain ones that are waiting for you to arrive before they go on to their next job.
Right. And we have complete control of this. Like, there's 100% no doubt in my mind, my mother will be there when I get there. She will be there and will wait for me because we have more lessons to learn together, you know. But, yeah.
You have a stronger bond.
Exactly.
I mean, a parent and a child, they're just...
Yeah. But you can be different things to each other in different lives. But it's kind of wild. I mean, you know, exactly. We don't know exactly how it works. We just know what we've been told and what we feel and what we've put together. And this is what makes the most sense to us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, and then there was something else Kathy had... she had a dog that recently passed, and she had shown me a picture of the dog and a picture of clouds that she had taken that looks just like the dog. This was such a trip. She said, I showed you a picture this week. Would it be a coincidence, or how would a spirit be able to show themselves in the clouds? This is a great way, actually, that they can show themselves. And we don't talk about this enough, really, because it's not about, like, if I remember, I'll put this up so that people can see. It's not the shape of the clouds. Or like a cloud. It's the way that the clouds come together
to make an image,
and the shadows on them. The way that the shadows are cast on the clouds that shows where the dark colors would have been on this dog, or the shadows would have been on this dog. It actually makes it look like the dog itself.
It does. It looks just like it.
Absolutely.
And that's how they can communicate.
They can do that because it's energy. That probably doesn't take a lot of energy, but that's something that they can do.
Did you post pictures on our discussion group or on the page of the Winchester?
I did, yeah.
Well, similar, which we were talking about to like her photo, was that we took a picture from inside the house on the second floor. I think it was the second floor, out into the front grounds of the house. And so you kind of see the grass and the driveway, and then in the background you see the rest of the city and some trees and buildings. And that's when we looked at this picture over a period, or a couple pictures over a period of maybe an hour or so, looking at them, and was not noticing all of the pictures at once. Images at once within the picture.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was finding them one by one.
There were animals in there.
And and the example I'm kind of comparing this to is like as you look in the skyline or towards, the city and the trees, you could now see images of other people in this story of this house that aren't the shape of the tree or the bush. It's the shadows and a part of the building that all of a sudden makes this face. And you're like, whoa.
And so we had a friend that had said that's just the refraction from the camera or whatever, something like that.
A reflection from the window. And there was, the window was open. Yeah. There was no window.
Well, but it doesn't matter, because here's the thing. That's how they do this. If they need to use the mirror to make that image, that's how they do it. They're not going to materialize in front of you. They have to use energy to show themselves. And so that's how they do this, is with energy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a universal magic, but it's really impressive.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's what real magic is.
Exactly. It's impressive. So thank you for sharing that picture with us, Kathy, and I'll put it up in the discussion
Kathy.
group.
That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I have
and for the question.
Yes. That's what I have.
Cool. All right. Well, let's hop into episode 117 then, the 5 love languages.
Yay. So what are the 5 love languages to begin with? Like, what is the concept behind this? So different people with different personalities give and receive love in different ways. By learning to recognize the love language in yourself and in your loved one, especially your partner, you can learn to identify the root of conflicts, connect more profoundly, and begin to grow closer. It just gives you a better idea. This actually has helped me with you, and you don't even know it yet. Well, I haven't really, but I'll explain later.
Okay.
This concept was started by Dr. Gary Chapman, who wrote the book, The 5 Love Languages. His resume includes author, speaker, radio host, marriage counselor, and director of marriage seminars. His first book, The 5 Love Languages, How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, was first published in 1992, has sold over 11 million copies just in English, and it's been translated into like 40-something languages, right? And it's in the top 100 seller list on Amazon consistently.
Wow.
And in the top 5 New York Times bestseller consistently on that list, and sometimes going and claiming the number 1 spot. It has claimed it many times.
Wow.
So this is a book that's read by many, many people.
That's nice.
Yeah. Chapman's book is based on the concept of helping people express and receive love through one of the 5 love languages. So what are those 5 love languages? Those are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So each of these love languages is enjoyed to some degree. We all, need some of it. But usually there's one or two that stands out that we need, this or that, or a combination of both. So they have a quiz online. It's the 5lovelanguages.com, 5, the number 5. And you can take this quiz there. I put it up in our discussion group for our listeners and asked them to take it as well.
Right.
And you and I both took it. And so we're going to go over the findings and a little bit of each of these 5 love languages. But I would highly recommend that you go and check out this website if you didn't take the quiz. Take the quiz. There's also ones there. I haven't done them yet, but I want to. That it also hits on like your work or like your family, like your kids, helping with your relationships there. So you can go and take those quizzes as well and learn a little bit more about your love language. And sharing your love language with others helps them to understand you better too. So if you know that, and you can say, like Marina has told us many times, my love language is words of affirmation, because then that helps us to know better how to communicate with her more. We know that those words are important to her.
Right.
So the most common among our listeners was acts of service. And this is actually mine, too. I got 40% acts of service. You only got 6%. Which I honestly wasn't surprised about, because you don't really seem impressed by that kind of stuff, you know? Like, that's just not your thing.
Yeah, I guess.
But everybody has their own personality,
Right.
you know?
Not that I don't see the benefit of it, but...
Yeah, it's just not one of your top ones,
Right.
that's all. So acts of service is, if this is your love language, you value when your partner goes out of their way to make life easier for you. You believe actions speak louder than words. Unlike those who prefer to hear how much they are cared for, people on this list like to be shown they are appreciated. Okay, and so things like doing chores to make their life easier or more comfortable is highly cherished by these people. Bringing you soup, making you coffee, picking up dinner when you've had a busy day and don't feel like cooking are all examples of small tasks that makes these people feel loved. So I am curious as to like why there's so many people that like the acts of service. And for me, this has always been one. And this was a problem in my first marriage, that we actually went to therapy over this, because like it was really bad. Like sorry if he ever hears this, but it was like he never helped me with anything. It was like I did everything. Even if like he was sitting down eating dinner, he'd be like, can you get me the ketchup, if I'm all nice and comfortable and eating my dinner too? You know, well, you want the ketchup, get up and get it yourself, you know? But there was nothing that I could do to get him to understand how much it showed me that he cared just by small acts of services. You're totally different in that way. Things are different with us. And that's very helpful to me because, you know, that's my love language.
Right.
I don't know why. It just is.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Words of affirmation. This was the second most common amongst our listeners. I was surprised. I thought that this one was going to be first. For me, I got 20% for this, so this was my second, and you got 23%, so I think that makes this one your third of the
What
five.
did you get?
20%?
20%.
Yeah, so I think this was my second.
Yeah, this is my third highest.
Yeah. So, words of affirmation. Actions don't always speak louder than words. If this is your love language, unsolicited comments, I love yous, and other words of encouragement and endearment are very important to you. Hearing the even deeper reason behind that love sends you even higher. Insults can leave you shattered and are not easily forgotten. Kind, encouraging, positive words are life-giving to you. Mm-hmm. Words can really, really hurt. Mm-hmm. Even if your love language, even if one of the top ones isn't, you know, they really can hurt. So that's something that like I've learned to practice over the years and try really hard to not say things that you can't take back. You know, Nobody wants that. That's okay. Let's see. The third one is physical touch. This is the one that I thought was going to be your number one, but it's your number two, but they're really close together.
Right.
For me, this was 17%, so I think it was the second to the
17?
bottom for me. Yeah. So physical touch. People whose primary love language is physical touch feel most loved when they receive physical signs of affection, including kissing, holding hands, cuddling, sex, and physical intimacy. Physical intimacy and touch can be incredibly affirming and serve as a powerful emotional connector. Their roots go back to childhood. When a child is held, kissed, and touched in appropriate ways, this sticks with them and often translate to this language. The opposite can happen for children in physical or sexual abuse situations. So this makes sense for you. That this is why I thought this would be one of your top ones, because you've said that your mother was affectionate.
My mom was very affectionate, yeah.
Where with me, my mom was not affectionate. My grandparents were a little bit, but like my mom, until I got older and she knew it annoyed me, she didn't like hug me or anything. Right. She always made fun of me because I would, she was a little bit shorter than me. I'm 5 feet and she was 4'11". And so we would go out and I could put my head on her shoulder. I would just put my head on her shoulder like that. And she would make fun of me. Like, why do you do that? Why do you put your head on my shoulder? Because sometimes you need that touch, no matter what it is. You just need that touch. But she wasn't encouraging about that.
Right.
So that was for something for me that didn't really stick. It wasn't something that I needed. I need it more now that I'm older. And I think also because I'm with somebody that needs it more, it kind of like becomes a part of you too, because you realize that, and you know.
Well, and I think there's studies that show that touching somebody, appropriately, can bring your blood pressure down. It relaxes you. It just, there's chemical reaction,
Yeah.
It does something for you.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable,
I think this is an important one. I mean, they're all important to remember that we have these different love languages, but like, it's important to remember that some people aren't into this physical touch as much because of like maybe things that they've been through.
Sure, yeah.
I actually came across a TikTok today, and it was a husband and wife in the pool together, and he's like all kissy on her and stuff, and like the captions say, when your husband's love language is physical touch but yours is not, and she's just sitting there like awkward. And some people just didn't learn that. They didn't learn the physical touch, or others, like I've talked about, that I have suffered sexual abuse. It doesn't become a love language. It becomes something different than that. Yeah. And so you kind of have to relearn that, But for a lot of people, the physical touch can set them off too. So this is a part of the reason why, not because the person doesn't want you to touch them.
No, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I've met a lot of people that didn't grow up in affectionate homes, or their parents didn't say I love you a lot. So hugging for them is awkward.
Yes.
Or when they hear I love you, they, maybe that seems too deep, or some people might feel like that's just thrown around. I mean, there's different kinds of love. So I feel like saying I love you to somebody, whether it's a guy or a girl that I have a close connection to, that doesn't bother me. You know, but I'm not like everybody, and everybody's not like me either. So
yeah, it's funny because that is something that I've told you. I'm very careful with that word. I don't throw love around. I don't know why. I mean, my mom told me that she loved me not enough. As I got older, she did more and more, but it was something I think that for me, words have always not meant a whole lot because they're words, like I feel like you need to show that more. But then there are those people that you just, for whatever reason, do feel like this deep love for. Like I have this friend, Chelsea, that I've never even met her before. We've never met in person, but we started this spiritual journey together. Right. And she's one of the easiest persons for me to say I love you to. And it's so weird to me. Like, why is that? Right. Why? Because sometimes you just feel that connection with somebody, It's but I think, like, for me, the words just, words are just words. Right. Without action, they don't really show much. But everybody's different. So, let's see. Moving on. Quality time. This was your number one. This was my number two. I actually, this is weird, but I retook this quiz because I felt like we spend so much time together that we always have quality time together. And so I felt like, am I bypassing those questions because I already have that? That's like complete in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe that's not such a big thing for me because I already have it. Does that make sense? So I went back and I answered these questions as if we didn't spend a lot of time together. So I got 23% on this one and you got 35%. Quality time. People that fall under this love language feel most loved when their partner actively wants to spend time with them and is always down to hang out. I'm always down to hang out with you. Yeah. They particularly love eye contact, active listening, and full presence to show the relationship is priority. It's about giving your partner undivided attention without distraction like TV, phone, social media, or any outside interference. They have a strong desire to actively spend time with their significant other, having meaningful conversations or sharing activities. Honestly, like, this is probably, if I didn't get this, I would say this would probably be more important to me than acts of service, because the deep conversations that we have and the quality time are one of the most important things, or two of the most important things in our relationship. You know, that it's kind of another one of those things that I never realized that I missed, but I didn't have that before. Like, you and I can just sit and just talk for hours, and all of a sudden we're like, whoa, where'd the time go?
Right.
You know, there is something really special and uniting and bonding about that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the questions were cool, and they were great questions as far as, like, what would you prefer? But I felt like I kept going, well, instead of her doing this for me so I didn't have to worry about it later, I would rather just spend time together.
Yeah.
And I'll worry about it later.
Right. That's the procrastinator in you, too.
But, yeah, whatever.
I'm kidding.
So.
Yeah, no, I think, like, there's been a lot of epiphanies that I've had about what's important in relationships to me. And I realized, I think I told you this a couple of weeks ago, that one of the things that I never really realized was that important to me was that quality time together. And that I wanted to be with somebody that would literally spend every minute of the day with me. And I didn't have that. I had that in a relationship, my first serious relationship. So I feel like that's almost like what I learned was, like, somebody should always want to be with you. They should always want to talk to you. And then in my other relationships, it wasn't like that. I became far more independent. And so it was almost like when the universe brought us together that they were saying, this is really what you want. You really don't want to be as independent as you think you want to be. You want to be independent with somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the universe brought me somebody that wants to spend as much time with me as I do with them, which is really cool. Because it's, you know, if you have this love language and your significant other doesn't, you might feel like they don't want to spend time with you, but that may just not be their love language. Right. And so I think that that's a reason why this is kind of an important thing, that, like, a quiz to do or something to work on in your marriage, is because your partner may not know that this is your love language. Right. And some of these can be really devastating if your partner doesn't know. Like, if you are with somebody that works all the time and your love language is quality time, and you're not getting any of that, you're not being fulfilled in that area, and you need to be fulfilled in that area. Or if you're not hearing I love you and that's what you need to hear, this kind of quiz can open that up for you so that you can, you know, talk to your partner about this if this is hard for you to talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're trying to say you should spend every minute together.
No.
You should definitely have your own interests and own time and space to do what it is you want to do, and give each other the freedom to do that.
Yes.
But you should know these things about each other, like what each other, you know, prefers in that sense, because if it is a relationship or a commitment, whether it's marriage or not, it's still a commitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're looking at it most likely long term, I would guess, you know.
Yeah. I feel like there should be a balance of all of these things in a relationship, which is why, like, you know, they say each of us has all of these to some degree, but they all should really be balanced. You would think, you know, there should be all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last one is receiving gifts. And I was really surprised about this, to be honest, that this was the one that not one of our listeners picked as being their love language. Yeah. Not one. And on the scale, because, like, when you take the quiz, it tells you, like I've said, the percentages. You got 3% and I got 0%. And I can tell you right now that I get 0% on this because my mother tried to buy me with gifts.
Right.
And so I learned at a young age that giving somebody a gift does not show love to them. That is not how you say I love you, because then she would go and yell at me. So, you know, it was like, it didn't work out. So for me, like, every question that came up that was like, you know, receiving a gift, I was like, what's the other one? And they all fit better, you know, than the receiving of the gifts. And it sounds like most of our listeners, it was the same way. So receiving gifts. This is pretty straightforward. You feel loved when people give you visual symbols of love. It's not about the monetary value, but symbolic thought behind the item. They enjoy being gifted something that is both physical and meaningful. They appreciate the process of careful reflection and deliberate choosing of an object.
Yeah.
I think my mother's love language was receiving gifts, But when I first thought about this, I was like, okay, it is, just about giving the gift, like the person likes to receive a gift. But it really should be, like it says in here, about what the process is. That they did something special for you, that they went above and beyond for you.
Right.
Like my mom, here's a funny story, I suppose. For their anniversary one year, my stepfather bought my mom a doorstop shaped like a swan. And I thought it was pretty. It was just like a figurine of a swan, And it said on the box, doorstop. Oh, my mom was so mad. You got me a doorstop for our anniversary? Oh, he never, ever, ever, ever lived it down, ever.
Your mom hated practical.
Oh, I didn't realize that until later, that she hated practical. For me, I'm the opposite. Like, she didn't have any good, like, silverware and glasses and knives and stuff like that when I moved out. And so for my first Christmas away from home, that's what I bought her. I bought her all of that stuff. And she was like, practical shit? What is this? I was like, okay. And I get it now. Maybe she wanted something more sentimental or whatever. Right. But I wanted to help. I thought I was helping. Right. I thought that when she goes to drink out of those glasses, she'll think about me. When she goes to use those knives, she'll think about me. But she thought, you're giving me a practical gift? Yeah. It really is the thought that counts. It doesn't matter what the gift is, Right. It's the thought that counts.
That's all that matters.
It is. But, everybody's different, and everybody's going to have some variation of
kind of with some of their questions in this area, I just felt like I would prefer words of affirmation over a gift.
Yes. We actually have time. That's everything that I had. And my other thought was that I would read some of these questions for the people that did not take the poll, that did not take the quiz themselves, that I would read it. So let me bring it up, and then we can go over these questions so you know a little bit more about why, what we're talking about exactly and what he means by that. So I'm almost there. But there's a romantic, family, friendships, and workplace. I've only done the romantic one, but if you go to 5lovelanguages.com, you can take all of those. I think I'm going to do that later. Okay, so when you go on to this and you start this quiz, let's see, start now. Okay, I am an adult. I am in a relationship. You can also choose I am single. Let's see. It's more meaningful to me when I receive a loving note, text, email, or for no reason at all from my loved one, or my partner and I hug. So you can see exactly right there. You could probably score. Like if you make a little list, here's a good thing.
Right.
If you haven't done this yet, make a little list, and I'm going to read these to you. Right. And you can tell what they are. You can tell that my partner hugs, that's physical touch. Mm-hmm. And, receiving a love note, that's words of affirmation. So you can score them that way. Okay. So let's see. The next one is, it's more meaningful to me when I can spend time alone with my partner, just the two of us, or my partner does something practical to help me out. The next one, it's more meaningful to me when my partner gives me a little gift as a token of love for each other, or I get to spend uninterrupted leisure time with my partner. The next one is, it's more meaningful to me when my partner unexpectedly does something for me, like filling my car or doing the laundry. My partner and I physically touch. I'll tell you what, if there's any men listening to this, there is no woman that you would go and fill up her car with gas and she would go out and not appreciate that. Like, can you imagine if like somebody just randomly did that for their partner? They'd be like, wait, what do you want? But what a small way to just say, I love you. I'm not saying go fill my car up with gas. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes these small things, just like if you're thinking about the person, even just sending them a text and saying, I love you randomly, these things can help your marriage without you even realizing it.
Right.
I get back to the quiz. Let's see. Okay, we already did that one. It's more meaningful to me when my partner puts his or her arm around me when we're in public, or my partner surprises me with a gift. I know for a lot of women, flowers are a nice symbolic thing. And I definitely recommend if you never do that for your partner, do it. Because it can absolutely, well, not if they don't like flowers, but it just shows something special, to do that. But there's a lot of women that I've seen this, where they order their own flowers from their husbands.
Oh, no.
why though? But if it makes you feel better, okay. Let's see. Okay. It's more meaningful to me when I'm around my partner, even if we're not really doing anything, or I hold hands with my partner. It's more meaningful to me when my partner gives me a gift, or I hear I love you from my partner. It's more meaningful to me when I sit close to my partner, or I am complimented by my loved one for no apparent reason. It's more meaningful to me when I get the chance to just hang out with my partner, or I unexpectedly get small gifts from my partner. You know what the thing about this is I feel like, I'm sure this is done in a way where they pair them up to see,
Right.
They put them together. But can you really get a 100% accurate on pairing two things together and which of these? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I think it's pretty accurate, but you could probably get more detailed.
Yeah, you could do. I mean, it's a preference thing, and it's multiple choice, I guess, but test overall.
Yeah.
And I think you can get the idea of the kind of questions that they're asking here, and
what kind of person you are.
Yeah, how you're going to have to sort of look introspectively inside and see, what's most important to you, because it's funny. I mean, like, you're like a total gift type of person, and I kind of I go blank when it comes to gifts. A lot.
Yeah.
I just like, what the heck do I do? Yes. I don't know why that is. I just blank. And
it's funny because I think that you also have that love language of what you give out. And like, for me, that would definitely be gift giving. That was how my mom was. Like, she gave everybody gifts. I always saw that. I'm just a giving person. I feel like I have more than enough and I want to share that.
Right.
And so that's just naturally me, but not everybody's like that. And if you weren't raised with that, then maybe that's not,
Well, definitely, I can see how you were raised and how that affects you. And, and vice versa. I can see it with myself too,
I love to give gifts. I would rather give than receive a gift.
Right.
It's just makes me happy to see somebody else happy.
I think my mom was, because she was a single mom and definitely struggling. She didn't have that ability to do. She did what she could when she could, but I think she tried to use those words of affirmation and kind of that hugs and quality time to fill the other part that couldn't be filled,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. My mom, like I said, she filled, she replaced love with gifts. But it was the side of her that I loved to see how it made her feel when she gave somebody a gift. It wasn't anything more than that for me. It was just seeing the look that how happy she was when the other person was happy. And that's the same kind of feeling that I get. It's just, oh, I made you happy. That makes me happy.
Right.
It's, Okay, let's see. A few more here. It's more meaningful to me when I hear my partner tell me I'm proud of you, or my partner helps me with a task. It's more meaningful to me when I get to do things with my partner, or I hear supportive words from my partner. It's more meaningful to me when my partner does things for me instead of just talking about doing nice things for me. I feel connected to my partner through a hug. I hear that a lot from like my when I do readings, like love readings and stuff, and from people that I can tell that it's acts of service for them, and they complain about that. Like, I tell my husband, can you do this? Can you do that? Or it would really help me. Oh yeah. I'll help you. Don't worry about it. And then they don't. And with somebody that's like an act of service, then that makes you feel even more unappreciated when you have to sit there and then do what you've asked them to do by yourself. I have a close friend that this happens to. And it's sad to watch because, like, all he would really have to do is not leave his pants on the floor or take the trash out. You know what I mean? And it would just, that little bit would just show her that he loves her, but he doesn't get that. And I see that a lot.
Right.
So if your partner is like nagging you, things like that, it may just be because that's their love language, and you doing that isn't necessarily like, you know, oh, I want this person to have to take out the trash. I want them to enjoy to take out the trash. It's not about that. It's, I want them to help me because that's what makes me feel good, and I want them to know how to make me feel good.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see. It's more meaningful to me when I hear praise from my partner, or my partner gives me something that shows me she or he really was thinking about me. It's more meaningful to me when I am able to just be around my partner, or I get a back rub or massage from my partner. And my partner reacts positively to something I've accomplished, or my partner does something for me that I know they don't particularly enjoy. Last one, my partner and I kiss frequently, or I sense my partner is showing interest in the things that I care about. So now take all those questions and tally them up and see what you get. And that'll tell you what your love language is. You can also go online, like I said, take this quiz, which is probably, you know, better. Then you can really break it down and see what it says about each one.
Yeah.
But this is also another way to do it. So I learned a lot from this. Like I said to you at the beginning that, you know, I've learned from this. I figured that physical touch was the number one thing. We spend the quality time together, so that shows me that that is really important to you. But it also shows me that it would be better for me to increase my level of physical touch with you just randomly. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's your love language, then I should randomly just be giving you a kiss or whatever kind of touch it is. Even putting my hand on your leg, that's what is good for you.
Right.
So that's made me learn. It's helped me learn from this. And so I definitely challenge our listeners to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's about both of the people in the relationship.
For sure.
You want to know what your love language is, but you need to know about your partner and their love language as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're a little bit short on our episode, but that covers it. What else can you do to cover that topic, you know?
Well, you know, and this can go beyond romantic relationships too. It can span, you know, like you said, there's other categories for family and work and whatever, but it shows you, you know, how to kind of consider maybe that we all are different. Yeah. And so we're not going to score the same. No. And we're going to have different, you know, priorities in those categories, but it's definitely kind of like what we were talking about last week, is that's what this whole experience in life really is relationships. Yep. Absolutely. Getting to know people and more importantly, letting people get to know you. Right. Exactly. The real you. Right. And the more that we can share our language with one another and understand one another better, that's all the better that relationship's going to be. Right. You know? Exactly. You really build a foundation by really listening to one another and these kind of important parts about each one of these personalities and what their desire, I guess. Yeah. I say often that I feel like our first marriage was kind of like the dress rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot from my first marriage because, like I said, the quality time for me is really important. And I didn't have that so much with him. Like, even from the beginning, he was very independent and, you know, he would go to work and then a lot of times go straight out with his friends after work. And we moved to Las Vegas shortly after we started dating, like a year and a half after we started dating. And I knew nobody. And so he would go to work and then go out with his friends and I would be alone all day. And then he'd come home and I would be mad. And he's like, why are you so mad? You know, well, you've been gone all day and I've been by myself, you know? I think that's why I became such like a independent person is because I just kind of got so used to being by myself. But that quality time is important. And I didn't really know how to verbalize that because I was really young, you know? I didn't know how to say in a constructive way, I need you to spend more time with me.
I was just angry and we would fight about it and then it wouldn't be good. So you kind of I've learned now, okay, well, if I need something, then I need to say it. I need to say to you, okay, this is missing, not wait until I'm ready to blow up. You know what I mean? Like hit it from the beginning and you know, you have to learn about yourself and how to express these things and how to communicate. And communicating in a relationship is really, really hard. And we're definitely not perfect at it.
Nobody is.
Nobody is. We all have our issues. But I think if you can learn these things about each other, and like what we talked about last week about the difference, you know, the introvert, extrovert, all that, the more that you can learn about yourself and about your partner and your rest of your family, the more it does help you to understand how different you are and how you can make things more harmonious. And with your friends as well. Like you said, I'm going to go in and take that quiz about the family and that kind of thing. And find ways to make things more harmonious, because that really is what life is about, is love, you know?
Yeah. And the relationships that you're making and experiencing, it's compromise, you know, like we all have to listen to each other and talk and communicate, and there's compromise. But if you're committed to a relationship, whether it's friendship or marriage, there should be no issue about compromise.
Right.
You know, but compromise doesn't mean you have to do it that person's way or they have to always do it your way.
That's why it's compromise.
That's why it's compromise.
Yeah.
So you've got to be willing and to communicate. And sometimes that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe even for men, you know, oh, it's just too emotional and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. And, you know, but you've got to do it for your partner.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to at least communicate with one another. If you can't do it together, then go to a therapist and talk to them, you know, and have them help you. But you have to be willing to talk and communicate. If you can't, you're going to have a lot of problems.
I was kind of wondering what the next episode was going to be, because I don't really pick them. I'm just told by the other side what they're going to be, you know, and I hadn't really gotten it yet. But I know we're on this, like, personality type thing, you know, because we usually stick with this, like, a series and kind of go with it. But I got it, though. I got it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I know it's a long title. But the thing is that this is a big thing I've learned doing readings. We are so different. We are so different. And if we could really learn how we are different and understand the other sex better, I think we could really open up some areas in relationships, because that really is, I see that so much. Well, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, he doesn't think this, he doesn't think that. That's because he's a man. And he doesn't think the same way that you do. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Right.
So I think that that's a great idea for next week. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yay. Get started on that ASAP. By ASAP, I mean Sunday. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good idea. Cool.
I think so. Yep. So anyway, there you have it. The 5 love languages. I haven't read the book, but we bought it for Marina for her birthday. I think. So she has it. So I think I'm going to ask her to read it, because, you know, it's got a whole book about this.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yay.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
Before we say goodbye to our friends, would you like to share your page?
Yes. You can find me on my website, SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. If you would like to message us, you can reach us at spiritualjoneses@gmail.com. And don't forget about the Podcast Awards. Podcastawards.com.
Nice.
Yes.
Please.
And you, sir.
For my art, D. Jones Art Collection for the web, at D. Jones Art Collection for Instagram and Facebook. And for the music, GypsyBrown.com for the web, at Gypsy Brown Music for Instagram, and at Gypsy Brown Band for Facebook.
Yay.
And October 1st,
Yeah.
we're playing, so
Yep.
set your calendars.
I need to put
Mark your calendars, I mean.
I need to put up the Eventbrite link so that people can order that way. You can order on Ticketmaster too, but if
It's
you order
on
the rest, we
Gypsy
get
Brown's
credits.
Facebook page. The link is there.
Okay,
So,
that's
but the
good.
tickets are available on Eventbrite.com for the show. So just search Gypsy Brown, I would imagine, or the Canyon.
Yeah, you can search Gypsy Brown, or what's the name of I always forget the name of the band you're playing with. The Tubes. I want to call them the Tools. Why do I want to call them the Tools? They're not the Tools. They're the Tubes.
I don't know. So anyways, that's it for me.
Okay. Very good, sir.
Well, we hope that everybody got something out of this week.
That we do.
And we hope everybody has a great week. Until next week.
Peace and love.